High-handled drinking cup is also known as the cantharos in the form of two heads. This pottery was made in the Greek late Archaic period about 510 to 480 BC. The medium is ceramic and red figure. A cantharos is known as a drinking cup believed to have originated in the Cyprus or eastern Greece where figured vases are common. Cantharoi, plural, characterized by handles curving high over a deep bowl, were very popular in Italy for drinking wine. By the late 7th and 6th centuries BC, they had spread throughout the Mediterranean region. In Greek mythology, the cup was associated with Dionysus, called by the Romans the god of wine, who was associated with drink and orgiastic parties. One of the character sketches in the late 4th century BCE, characters describe a black person as an exotic servant for a petty man. The left side of this art represents the Greek petty man, while the right side represents the servant. But other ancient Greek texts contradict this characterization. Homeric epics describe black people as a semi-divine creatures whose country was a relaxing oasis for the gods. Furthermore, visual references on ancient Greek vases depict black people in numerous roles, including political allies, musicians, religious worshippers, soldiers, and servants. The joining of black and white female heads is unusual. On black figure vases, white women are often painted with the same white slip used on the mouth of this cup. But on head vases, they are always left in the reddish and the more lifelike color of the clay, heightened somewhat by a wash of yellow ochre, so the flesh is red, eyes white, and the iris black. The African woman smiles with her teeth showing, her eyes and eyebrows are white, her hair is a mass of dots with traces of red paint. The cup has a creamy reserved white band with palmettes below a band with checkers. The inscriptions below the white palmette describes "the boy is handsome" appear on both sides and a band beneath the palmettes. I think this pottery was very interesting due to the fact of how there are various of complex meanings described all in just a drinking cup. The two heads located on this drinking cup is very interesting, and it is very unique to look at, especially the color differences and how it represents slavery back in the ancient Greek times.
Marble head from the figure of a woman. The Cyclades were a group of islands, also known as an archipelago, in the southern part of the Aegean Sea. They stretched from mainland Greece to the neighboring Dodecanese Islands off the western coast of Turkey. Evidence exists for human activity on the Cyclades more than 15,000 years ago. The predominant human form in early Cycladic sculpture is the folded arm figurine, of which there are 5 different types named for the sites at which they were found. The most common variety, called spedos, was named after an early Cycladic cemetery on the island of Naxos. The sculptures were made of marble and primarily represented feminine figures. The fine white marble was carved with emery and probably flint or obsidian blades, and then were polished with pumice. These figures range from a few inches to nearly 5 feet high. The sculptures ranged from both stylized and more naturalistic statuettes. The marble head from the figure of a woman is a good example of the spedos variety of early Cycladic sculpture. The spedos type displayed a remarkable consistency in form and proportion that suggests that they were planned out with a compass. It was made in the early Cycladic II period, which was from 2700 BC to 2500 BC.
According to the Metropolitan Museum of Art's bulletin,
the second period was the second main phase in the early Cycladic culture and is also known as the Kerastyros culture. The sculpture is 9 and 15/16 inches tall and made in marble. The traces of eyes in extremely low relief indicate that they originally were rendered with pigment. The painted marble weathered less rapidly than the adjoining unpainted surfaces, which gave the facial features a lighter ghost impression after the pigment wore away. The pigment would have originally been brightly painted with mineral-based pigments, azurite for blue and iron ores or cinnabar for red. On other early Cycladic statuettes on which original pigment remained, jewelry was painted on the statues as well as their eyes, hair, and pubic areas. In a number of instances, an intricate pattern of red dots covered the face. Scholars have plausibly suggested that the vertical rows of dots were applied during a burial ritual and represent tears of mourning. The sculpture also has bold, minimal contours on the head that epitomize the pure, distilled, formal qualities. The facial features were not very detailed or accurate, as you can see by the proportions of the nose and ghostly eyes. I think that the head from the figure of a woman is a very interesting piece of art, specifically because of the stylistic choices that were used to portray a feminine face at the time. I also think that the stark white marble is interesting when paired with a seemingly featureless face, with little variation in texture. The facial features that are also represented with ghost-like impressions are also very interesting to me. I think that the features also add to the sculpture because at first the only thing you notice is the nose, but when you look closer at it, you notice the eyes.